Hello. And welcome to Wario Land. Wario Land 4. This is the fourth one, although confusingly, it's actually the fifth entry into the Wario Land series. Things just kind of worked out that way. So, the Wario Land is a series of action platforming games, with each game kind of being pretty similar, although the happenstance of gimmicks vary from game to game. The games can be formed into pairs chronologically. So Wario Land 1 and Virtual Boy Wario Land 2 and 3, 4 and Shake It, all forming pairs, with each game being more similar to its partner than they are the other pairs. So if you played previous games in the series, or I guess watch some schmuck play them on YouTube, which is a little weird, guys, although I won't pass any more judgment than I suppose I just did, Wario Land 4 and Shake It are their own beasts entirely. Wario Land 4 especially being a very unique and interesting game, which I've been looking forward to playing for quite some time for you guys. So Wario Land 4 was originally a Game Boy Advance game that came out in the year 2001, a long time ago, and still this millennium. Nice. You can play it on your Wii U from the Wii U eShop if you still have your Wii U hooked up in the year 2018 plus, and the service hasn't been discontinued by the time you are watching this. God rest your soul, Wii U. You deserve better than what happened to you. But hey, at least the Switch is cool. You can also play it as a 3DS Ambassador game if you have a 3DS Ambassador account, or I guess you just happen to find a 3DS with a Ambassador account on it for some reason, which is unlikely. But if you do, hey, you can play this game a whole bunch of times as an Ambassador game. Not that I'm projecting anything from myself onto you. So as you'd expect from a Wario game, this game is a very rich and deep narrative in which Wario hears about a jungle uncovered in a pyramid uncovered in a jungle. And as we all know, pyramids' literal function is to house treasure and dead people. But once you've been dead for a suitable amount of time, you become treasure yourself. Your body is just a treasure waiting to happen. Isn't it beautiful? And speaking of treasures waiting to happen, we did not kill this cat with our car, so it is not yet a treasure, but it is still waiting to happen. And Wario foolishly chases it after it, falling into the pyramid, but luckily for him, all of the good treasure is inside of the pyramid, so he wanted to come in here anyways. Even though this is technically a golden pyramid made out of literal gold, so he could have just dismantled it brick by brick and made a hefty sum, but hey, we all know the real treasure is inside the pyramid, more specifically inside the entry passage, even more specifically in the Hall of Hieroglyphs, our first level of the game, which will be our tutorial level of the game. This game, of course, being Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance that came out in the year 2001. So this very first screen, there's something very, very important that we can talk about right off the bat. The soundtrack to this game is very good. Also, we can observe this very friendly looking frog buddy, but there's nothing we can do to make it over to it at the moment, so we'll just enjoy this bopping song. It's very good. So the Hall of Hieroglyphs is very cute, and that they teach you how to play the game by hieroglyphs that just literally show you the controls and what actions will happen when you do them. It's a very nice and a cute way to flavor a tutorial. So those things I just killed were Mario Men, and they're just the most basic of basic enemies, teaching you how to interact with enemies that can't even hurt you. They do have a little trick to them, though, where if you ground pound, they'll turn red, and then they'll drop more money than they normally would. So you just want to be aware of that, and just go ahead and kill them while they're like that. And I also want that coin dropped by the chest. So there are 4 chests per level containing a jewel piece. You need every single jewel piece, which is 4, per level, from every level in a passage to be able to fight the boss of the level. So you want to be on the lookout for them. This first level kind of has a very simple, you'd have to go out of your way to miss them in this first level. But they'll get more tricky as the game goes on. So we've been picking up money. Money's more or less optional. If you want to have a completionist run of this game, though, you will be required to collect at least 10,000 coins per level. We'll talk about that at the end of the level, though. This level's a bit tight for money, which is why I'm actually being very careful to kill these Mario Men while they're red and not purple, because they drop more money like that. So I'm trying to get every scrap of money I can to make the limit I want to hit. That thing I just picked up at Diamond is worth 10,000, or it's worth 1,000 coins. There's several of them per level, so you just want to be on the lookout for them. That attack I just did is the only new move to Wario's repertoire this game. You hold R and you'll get an after image, which will speed you up slightly. Well, it'll speed you up a lot. you kind of build up a little bit of momentum, and you get an after image attack, which will allow you to break thick blocks. There's also a form of ground pound that you can do, and I wonder if I can just do this here, where if you ground pound normally, you just kind of ground pound, but if you ground pound from a high enough height, you'll eventually start to get the after images as well, but I don't think we have enough room to show that off here. So something that might be weirding you out if you played Wario Land 2 and 3 is a few differences in this game. The first really obvious one is there's a health bar. Wario is no longer immortal in this game. You run out of health, you're knocked out of the level, and you have to restart from the very beginning of the level. So you want to be careful of that. In normal mode, it's kind of hard to die, though, so you probably won't have too many difficulties. But, hey, be on the lookout. If you're used to being immortal, you might be a little careless. The other change is Wario has his entire moveset, which is different from Wario Land 3, where you had to earn power-ups and such. Yeah, so once you kind of learn Wario's moves, or once you start playing the game, Wario knows all of his moves, and it's just a matter of you, the player, mastering them as you go along, as opposed to having to, like, oh, I got this move from this level and I'm good. With that, we have all of the jewel pieces, and a thing that I picked up and neglected to mention is this weird ghost thing following us, the Keyser. This is another collectible that's in every level that you'll be required to continue playing the video game we're playing. So at the end of every level, there is a door, a locked door, I should mention, that you'll be required to use the Keyser to unlock and continue onwards. So yes, you must get all of the jewel pieces and the Keyser in every single level to be able to continue. Everything else is totally optional. Now we've completely wrapped around to the back of the level. Well, I guess back of the level might be accurate, but it's also the very beginning of the level, and we can finally interact with this frog switch we saw. Yes, once you hit the frog switch, you're told to hurry up, and a bomb ignites, and you have to escape the level before time runs out. We'll talk a bit more about this later, just because the exit is right here. This is kind of the gimmick with the game, folded levels, in which that you have to escape the level by traversing the level once again. Once you hit that frog switch. It'll change up a bit as we go on, so I don't want to talk about it too much now. What I do want to talk about is this best score I just got. As you can see, I got a gold crown. That's because I got more than 10,000 coins. If you get more than 6,000 coins, you get a copper crown. You get more than 8,000 coins, you get a silver crown. You get more than 10,000 coins, you get a gold crown. The requirement's pretty tight in that level just because there's only just enough money to make that requirement, basically. So that level can be a little rough to make the gold crown standard in it. But in the other levels, there can sometimes be up to, like, I think I have, like, one level where has, like, 25,000 coins that I've collected in it before. Like, maybe there's even more. That's just the first number that came to me off the top of my head. So that requirement gets very easy as you go along, as long as you're just kind of looking around and collecting stuff. So the point of money in this game is to play mini-games, of course, and the mini-games we have here are WarioWare-esque pre-WarioWare micro-games that aren't technically micro-games because they can go on indefinitely, as opposed to being like an indefinite string of multiple mini-games, but you get the point. They normally cost 5,000 coins a pop to play, but before you beat the entry boss of the entry passage, they cost 2,000 coins to play. I guess you can get a couple playthroughs on them with the amount that you have with the Hall of Hieroglyphs from your first playthrough, although you could play it multiple times to get even more playthroughs, but hey. We're going to skip Wario's Home Run Derby for now and instead go to the Wario Hop, because I want to save Home Run Derby for last, for reasons, and also because the Wario Hop's kind of what I see as the general favorite of the three here. Wario Hop's just an endless runner, really. You just go, you hop over obstacles as they happen, and that's all there is to it. There's weird sound effects, and the obstacles get weird as you go on. I mean, it is Wario Land 4, so weird is kind of the hallmark of the game, really. But it's just an endless runner. There's not much more to it. For every 15 jumps you make, you get a frog medal, which is the entire reason you're going to play these mini games, is to get frog medals. We'll talk about frog medals in a moment, though. So 15 jumps, you get a frog medal. It doesn't change. Once you hit 30, once you hit 45, you keep getting them. Once you hit 38, however, the game will speed up. There are other points where it speeds up later on, I believe. I'm not terribly great at this. In fact, I'm about to mess up right here, which I know thanks to having to come back and re-record this section because I started to panic and did bad commentary, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now. Ha-cha-cha. So you're going to notice some inconsistencies with, I guess, the sound quality probably, and also with the scoring, because I had to do a couple of playthroughs of each of these games to get kind of a decent recording of each of them. So this next game, Wario Roulette, you just match a face. That's all there is. You just find the right parts, you match the face, and you're good. For every 3 matches you get a frog medal. It's pretty simple. There's not much more to it than that. As you go in, or as you get further in, you'll get less and less time to not make the matches, but to memorize the matches, so you'll have less time for this look segment, I suppose. I don't know if the timing gets any harder or anything like that. Maybe the roulette spins a little bit faster, but the only thing I've really noticed with this game is the amount of time you get to actually take in the face that you're trying to match. Beyond that, there's not really much more to this game. This one's probably my least favorite just because it's kind of boring, but it's also incredibly easy. It's probably the safest way to make money, because as you see here, I think this is the one where I messed it up because I couldn't remember because it just went too fast and I was just kind of starting to panic. You know, we got 3 frog medals out of that. That's not bad, but we could do better, and what we'll do better with is Wario's Home Run Derby. Now, Wario's Home Run Derby is kind of a mixed bag, because this one's really easy to screw up fast, but it also has more of a safety net to it, in which we're playing baseball, so it takes 3 strikes, you're out. But every time you get a home run, which is like your score for this game, each home run is 1 point, it resets your strikes back to 0, and you can't knock yourself out on a foul ball. So as long as you hit it, and you didn't get your home run, you can never lose even if you still had 2 strikes. So this game has a lot of safety nets to it, so I think it's probably the best way to earn money, but it can also be real inconsistent because this game can be kind of rough sometimes, especially if you're playing on an emulator with a Bluetooth controller that has some connection issues from time to time. Probably not the best thing to do. But like the best score I've ever gotten in this was like 45 around there on my 3DS copy of the game, which I was pretty proud of. For every 3 home runs you get, you'll get a frog medal. It's pretty similar to the Wario Roulette in that. But thanks to the safety nets, I feel it's the safer way to go. Also, I guess a cheerleader comes out when you get 9, I guess. I guess this is to signify that the pitcher's going to get new ways to pitch the ball, because there are a bunch of different weird ways the pitcher can pitch the ball, where it'll start to curve weird, it'll start to disappear. It's an interesting game. It's just all timing, though. It can get kind of boring, but it is a good way to earn a lot of money. But that's it for mini games. Now, you're probably wondering, what do we do with these frog medals that we've collected? Well, we'll talk about that in a hot second, because what we have to do is face the reason why we collect the... I guess Wario snickered there. You collect the jewel pieces so you can open the boss door, so you can enter the end of the passage. Now, there's more than just a boss back here. There's also the item shop with its very colorful toy-like logo. So the item shop sells us weapons to use against the boss. All these do is deal a set amount of damage against the boss, with the bugle being the best option here at the moment. The bugle will deal the most amount of damage to the boss we're about to fight, Spoiled Rotten. Also, you can come in here and get a free smile, and the shopkeeper will give you a smile and a weird sound effect played at random, I suppose. That just seems to be a thing that Wario Land 4 loves to do. I'm not going to be using items in this playthrough because I'm hardcore. Also, we're playing on normal and don't really need it all that much. So here's our first boss, Spoiled Rotten, a good eggplant boy who's just chilling out here with his eggplant warrior buddies, which are very similar to enemies we'll see in the next episode, and his GameCube. His 2 GameCubes, I suppose, and his little cooking area. So you just punch him in the face until he decides to not want to be punched in the face anymore. At this point, you'll hurt yourself if you punch him in the face, so you gotta start punching him in the back. It's a very simple boss, there's not much to it. You just beat him before time runs out and you win. Because if time runs out, you'll lose immediately. As opposed to in the post-fold, if you were to run out of time, you'd start to hemorrhage money and then start to lose health, I believe. But here, you just lose if you run out of time. But he's an easy boss, and you'll clear it, and Wario will pose, and everything will be good. And then on top of that, believe it or not, there is more to this golden pyramid than just an entry passage. Oh, no. It'd be too easy if there was just an entry passage. There's also an exit passage. It's not actually called the exit passage, and there's a couple things in between what would be the exit passage. The 4 main passages will be playing this video game, and you can play any of them at your leisure. This game can be played in any order. I'm going to be doing it in what is basically the intended order. We're going to go counterclockwise, starting with the Emerald Passage, which is obviously the green one. So I'll see you guys in the next episode for the Emerald Passage as we began playing Wario Land. We're going to continue playing Wario Land 4.